Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. First of all, I have to call to order the governing meeting. Quentin's on me, so okay. Calling to order the Solano Community College District Governing Board meeting of March 5th, 2005. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. Please call the roll.
President Church,
Here.
Trustee Cargo Reed,
Here.
Trustee Kara, Trustee Wynn Greer,
Here.
Trustee Thurston, Trustee Young, Trustee Voice,
Here.
Student Trustee Shreya Sharini Vasan.
She'll be joining us.
She'll join after our session.
Thank you. We have a quorum, so the next item is item 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any requests to speak from members of the public about closed session? So this time we'll adjourn the regular meeting and reconvene the regular meeting at 7 p.m. while we're in closed session. So at this time, I'll reconvene the regular meeting and announce that there was no action taken in closed session. We're on to number 9 on the agenda, and that item is comments from members of the public. Are there any requests to speak? All right, there's no request to speak. Next is the consent agenda item. All all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and or removed. Time will be provided before the vote for clarification questions without removing an item from the consent agenda. So that said, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion with a thank you to Professor DeClove for his donation.
I second that motion.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no items removed from the consent agenda, so we'll move on to item, item 12, which is non-consent agenda items, action items. 12A, which is a resolution. This is on for the first reading for your information. It's a resolution, commitment to a safe and secure campus for all students at Solano Community College. President Butler is the presenter.
Thank you. This resolution is being presented to reinforce and to highlight the commitment of Solano Community College to maintaining a safe, inclusive, and supportive educational environment for all students. The district's mission is to educate a culturally and academically diverse student population drawn from communities and beyond. This resolution not only aligns with our mission and vision, it also aligns with the California Community System's commitment to inclusive education for all students, regardless of immigration status, race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, nationalization. And we are asking the board to approve this resolution. This is an action.
President Church, I would like to make a motion to approve it with some amendments, and so I have a short description of the amendment, and then I can read it as well. So, I would like to make a motion to approve it with the name Sanctuary Campus added before commitment to a safe and secure campus for the title, and then one additional whereas after the first whereas. That reads, whereas a sanctuary campus commitment is a statement of opposition to overt oppression targeted at a group of people serviced by the institution and commits the institution to resist participating in that oppression. I can discuss on it more if there's a second. I'm making a motion to approve item 12A, our resolution for commitment to safe and secure campus, but with these amendments in red, the adding sanctuary campus to the title and whereas a second after the first whereas. Correct. Yeah. So after that first whereas, in between, before the second one, so adding a new whereas. Yeah. And then I can read it again. Trustee Nguyen, I also just emailed you, so if you're having trouble hearing, I want to make sure you had a physical copy too. But the new whereas would be the second whereas, not replacing anything, just adding between the first and second. That would read, whereas a sanctuary campus commitment is a statement of opposition to overt oppression targeted at a group of people serviced by the institution and commits the institution to resist participating in that oppression.
Where does this fit?
Correct, yeah.
So, think our intention was to avoid losing federal funding, and that's why we're saying what we felt, but not using sanctuary campus language.
I'm
So
in
that's why I
opposition.
don't think this is a good idea.
I'm in opposition of that strategy, but
Sure. So this, this is, we wanted to make a statement that we will not help immigration officials identify students who are non-residents or possibly in the United States without proper papers. And we risk losing federal funding, which impacts our students if we call ourselves a sanctuary campus. But the language we're using essentially declares that we're a safe campus, not necessarily a sanctuary campus. And it's the wisest way to accomplish our goal without attracting negative impacts. And I'm sorry to take the lead on this, but that's the reason it's written the way it is.
understood that. I just disagree with the strategy, so that's why I'm making this amendment. Yeah.
All right, so just,
If we accomplish what we want to accomplish without poking the bear, seems like a sensible way to go about it. I understand what you mean, and I laud it, and I also would love to burn my bra, but it ain't gonna help anything at this point, really. But that said, I also have a couple of things I want to change from the existing paperwork after we go to.
any other comments?
I do have a comment.
All right. Go ahead.
May I comment, President Honey?
Yes, you have the floor, yes.
Yes. Well, I just want to say thank you to those who were involved in helping draft the Safe and Secure Campus Resolution. It is something that I could see us being supported by the entire board and our entire community. But I would like to add my concerns for the record. As currently written, it has loopholes making our campuses potential safe spaces for violent felons, sexual predators, and drug dealers. If someone commits these types of crimes in the past or is in the process of committing these crimes on one of our campuses, I really don't want to hamstring or handcuff law enforcement officers when they try to remove dangerous criminals from our campuses. I also don't want to put faculty, staff, or students in a place of having to rat out law enforcement officers who are simply trying to protect our campuses. So I just want to say that on the record. Once again, I do appreciate all those involved in drafting this resolution.
Just to respond to your statement, Trustee Wynn, we don't actually have loopholes in stopping any arrest of any violence. We specifically outlined in AB 21 and highlighted again in AB 54. So in the current law, there are opportunities for law enforcement to work campus to ensure that violent criminals, no matter what background from, we can proceed to remove them from campus, and that is part of this statement.
Thank you very much, President Butler, for your clarification. I do appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for this mindful resolution here to just reinstate that we take safety of our campus very seriously. If you even look at our safety reports, and so, you know, superintendent, presidents have to deal with numerous requests all the time. And at no time was a student that I'm aware of had any of their information released, targeted, and where there is also a concern that there's going to be, you know, buses showing up and they're going to be hauled off. That will not happen on this campus, according to being a sanctuary state. And so it's outlined in this resolution that we are a safe and secure campus for all students, and I hope that you guys understand that they have to go, all inquiries have to go through superintendent president, and they will use their discretion, especially if it has to do with some criminal pending matter. So thank you so much for this very specific legal language because it's very helpful for all of us to understand what we can and cannot do in such a contentious time.
Well, first of all, we have okay. I want to thank you again for it. I think that really is wonderful, and there's a lot of courage in that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I like the document as is, though I have some reservations on a couple of things. No, I thought we should discuss the changes really more than you want. I mean, I really.
And we can discuss with
Oh, wow.
you want
Two
to make.
times lucky. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, first of all, these are the changes that I'm proposing. On page 21, my page 21, the seventh whereas, it says Solano's Department of Public Safety. I'm assuming that means our part. So I was thinking that we should clarify it, Solano Community College Department of Public Safety. And that's what was done all along. Page 22, in number 3, where it says provide access to resources. And the first part is support undocumented students in accessing financial aid through blah, blah, blah. I really thought that I would prefer that we said we support all students, including undocumented students. I think that's a fair picture of what we are trying to accomplish here, is that everybody gets a fair shake in our institution. And the same goes for the second one, offer mental health counseling, blah, 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 to the needs of all students, including undocumented students. That's there. Then the third part, to support all students in navigating their educational and personal challenges. So in part 3, I'm trying to get that everybody is included, and the document shows that. Number 5, the promote an atmosphere of respect for all students and employees by denouncing and addressing hate speech, bullying, and discrimination. I'm really uncomfortable with the words denouncing and addressing attached to hate speech. There isn't a definition of hate speech. What I'm trying to figure out is, I think we have to, as an institution, decide what we're going to assume is hate. For me, it's left it very open. If you look at sort of how we deal with hate speech in America, I mean, swastikas is a hate speech, Confederate verbal battle flag, pornography. Let's just decide what we're going to call as hate speech, and then what do we mean as an institution addressing it? How are we going to address it? I don't want to be in a situation where we have a group of people within their rights under free speech to ask to do something, and we think it's inappropriate. I think the moral high ground means that we have to allow everybody the right to enjoy the campus and to use the campus and to speak how they will, as long as it's done in a manner that's polite and kind and part of an educational environment. All I'm saying is, hey, look at how smart we are. We're an educational establishment. We should be able to do it.
Or are you asking just to remove hate speech?
No, I think we could say hate speech, but explain it. How does the California Department or Chancellor have a definition of hate speech?
Definition of hate speech from the Chancellor's Office, Civil Liberties Union definition of hate speech, that outrage that is controversial, but students have the right to the First Amendment to speak in hurtful and only when speech changes to an attack or the,
All I'm saying is if we're going to say denounce and address, I'd like it so that, for me, that we are very clear at what we're talking about there, and that this campus is available to everybody, including if somebody that I would find objectionable, but they're allowed to be here too. Sorry.
Is that a motion?
Yes,
that was a motion with the changes, and someone would need to
Well,
second.
it's very complicated. That's why
I don't think I don't have any disagreement with the first two suggestions of making it all students, including the others. But the hate speech, I think your suggestion is too vague. And like some Supreme Court justice said, to define
Yes.
pornography,
yes, you can.
it's almost impossible, but you know it when you see it.
Exactly.
But, so I'm not comfortable with changing the hate speech part of the,
But actually, that's interesting that you
Resolution.
say that I'm vague when I'm saying exactly I agree that this
but you
is
have
vague.
language, or what language do you want to make
Well,
or say?
couldn't we, I don't want to say no to this, but I think that we could send it back and have it come back again. With a little bit more effort with hate speech. But that's my point, is that that sentence is too important, because that's really the problem.
Well, okay, it's up to the board, but I don't have a problem putting this over to the next meeting. But,
Okay.
If that's an actual motion,
well, I think Quentin's motion, let's address that first. Quentin's motion to change the front end to using the language sanctuary campus dies for lack of a second.
right.
Is there a second to trustee Primavera's suggestions?
I'm gonna second that because I don't see any issues with putting that it's for all students, including our undocumented students.
Right, so what's the protocol? Do we vote on that? Well, but she also had this,
She has the
another
hate speech.
part of
Hate
her
speech.
motion is the hate, I don't know what exactly she wants to do with hate speech, but
Do you want a footnote?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
with a revision that would footnote with the definition.
Yes, and maybe the definition of addressing. What do we mean by addressing?
it's hitting her upside the back of the head. Sorry. Okay, so
Excuse me?
first we have to vote on the,
Excuse me, is it alright if I make a comment?
sure,
Thank you. Sorry that I'm not there in person tonight. I unfortunately caught the norovirus, so I don't want to contage all of you guys. But I think it's really important to just get a student perspective in on this conversation, despite me not being there in person. I know that in this conversation, like the idea of us having the label as like a sanctuary campus might be seen as a target, but us as a campus is already seen as a target with or without that label. But I already mentioned multiple times through multiple testimonies of students at the previous meeting that the label as a sanctuary status provides more safety to our students more than anything, and providing them with the capability and the safety of coming to campus without being fearful of prosecution or being taken off campus. And I think it's just really important to reiterate that fact as a student, like even if there's no legal status behind it or whatever it might be, just understanding that our campus has the confidence to put that label onto them is really, really, really vital to a student's understanding and impact. And I also want to reiterate that pushing off us passing this resolution is only adding more salt to the wound, because this is a very timely issue, and us pushing it off is only making us students feel more and more unsafe. I know personal students who are not coming to classes, who are not coming into school because they feel unsafe, because they have seen ICE, whether near campus, still makes them feel unsafe. So I think it's really, really important for us as a board to come together on this issue and understand where we stand on it very, very soon, at least, because the more that we wait, the more that it really impacts our students negatively. But I do appreciate all of your guys' comments and concerns that have been provided on the board, and appreciate them sincerely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your comments about the urgency, and I agree with you. So I think the first order of business then is to vote on the motion to change the language to include all students and reference
President Honeychurch,
LGBTQ students, undocumented students, and other undeserved and marginalized groups. So
President Honeychurch,
we're gonna,
can I, it's here, sorry. Can I add a comment before you vote, just for clarification regarding trustee Kara's motion? On number 3, on providing access, and I understand what you're saying, trustee Kara, this language right here is specific to the CADA application, which is for undocumented students. So if we want to add all students to that, we should say something like the FAFSA and the CADA, because citizens aren't eligible for the CADA.
so is that suggestion agreed to by the,
Do we have
board.
discussion on it first?
what's that?
Are we in discussion of this suggestion?
Yeah.
I have this. If that's the only way we're gonna get the resolution passed tonight, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I think it strays from the importance. I think not all students are under attack from this administration. Like undocumented students and LGBT students are directly under attack, and I think that language is important. It gets a little bit weakened if we replace it with all. If adding all and undocumented is the only way to get it passed, I'm happy to vote for it. But I do think it's written to direct, to the issue. I think the reason why I don't like without the sanctuary, and again I will vote for it without the sanctuary, since it didn't get a second. But the reason I have a problem with it, without it, and I thought it was really valuable, is that I think all of this sort of like puts a rainbow smiley face on this and doesn't actually address the actual oppression that's happening. Like, I mean, I like a lot of the language of it, but I think without calling it safe and secure, I think many students don't read that the same way as they would when it's direct language. Like, this is sanctuary for undocumented and LGBT students.
Yes, trustee.
Documented that they are safe, or documented they are safe. If the word sanctuary is missing from the document,
Yeah, I think that language was specifically requested because it is widely understood what it means now. Like, right, that the request was specifically for sanctuary campus policy, because we say everyone's safe all the time, and not everyone feels safe. Like, yeah.
Our student trustees point to heart, and this, would you find a medium place would be to put the title, but not your second part?
Yeah, I mean, I would still, I would motion anything, but I think we're addressing the motion of these, unless you want to represent with that in the title. But
I mean, yeah, I know.
But right now, there's a motion and a second to change the language under number 3 and somewhere else, 2 and 5, to all students, including, and then put a footnote defining hate speech. So that's the motion. So make those amendments, and then the question is approving the whole thing.
Okay, so make the amendments, but then we can discuss more. Like, yeah.
Well, we need a motion. Well, so there's a motion by trustee Kara to change the language of the proposed resolution.
This thing is continuing, a great discussion. It sounds like we're going to probably just have to have more clarification, because I'm seeing confusion of what exactly are we doing at this point then on this
Well, let me-
resolution? To bring it back with the
Well, first of all,
modifications?
the trustee voices motion to add, to retitle this as a sanctuary campus dies for lack of a second. Trustee Kara's motion is to change the language to basically say all students, including undocumented LGBTQ students and so on, that language change. And that we also have a footnote with a definition of hate speech under 5. So that's the motion. So all those in favor, please say aye. Oh,
Say aye, that I think that we should put that amendment in there.
all right. So anyone, other ayes?
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Those, I'm voting no, so I'd like to keep it the way it is, but what's your vote?
More touchy feely stuff. I mean, somebody needs to go in and do some changes in my.
Well, the changes are proposed are, as I said, it's all students, including the affected groups, and add a definition of hate speech. Once again, I'm not clear on how the board voted. My suggestion is keep the language we have, don't change it. But, so I'm voting no, so maybe we should just pull the board. Yeah, so we'll start with Anne Marie. Trustee Voice,
Yes.
I didn't hear you. Okay. No. Sure. And,
I'm voting yes to the amendment.
and a trustee on Zoom?
I'm voting yes to the amendments of Trustee Kara.
Okay, what's the vote? Okay, so the motion's defeated, it's 4-3. So the next motion that I would entertain as the chair of the meeting is to approve the resolution.
Actually, you've allowed me to say for the title, we put Sanctuary Campus Commitment to a Safe and Secure Campus for all students.
So that was already died for lack of a second.
No, but
He wants to remotion without the whereas.
without the whereas.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Let's move and second it. Change the resolution to
The title.
add the term sanctuary campus to the resolution. So all those in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
So the word sanctuary campus would be included as the title of this motion, of this resolution, which, as I explained before, will make us a target for losing federal funding. So I urge you to vote no, but we'll hear the vote. All those let's first do a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion to declare the language sanctuary campus instead of safe and secure campus, please say aye. No, opposed? Who's opposed? Speak up.
I'm opposed to the language of sanctuary campus.
Right. Trustee Thurston? Yeah, so I'm urging you to vote no.
Okay.
So what's your vote?
No.
Yeah, go ahead, Avery.
Reading this, without the word sanctuary in there, would they be able to detect that they know this is a sanctuary campus? Would they be knowledgeable enough to see that this referred to them if they looking for this to be a sanctuary campus?
Well, since they've learned to read here, I think they would understand it.
What would he say?
I said, yes, they would.
Yeah, right. Because I've said it has everything in it to meet their needs.
Many students have said no, and that's what our trustee said.
They
Right.
say no.
Yeah. You said that that was really important to the students to give them the comfort that they needed.
The whole point of the way it's written now is to avoid losing federal funding. So if you want to go ahead and poke the bear, vote yes, but I'm urging the board to vote no on this item, this particular motion. So again, all those in favor, please say aye. You already did. I have two, and the noes, who's voting no? One,
I'm voting no.
three.
I vote aye.
So what is that? Three.
I'm sorry, what are we voting for, President Honeychurch? Are we
We're-
voting to
we're
add
vo-
the amendment of the sanctuary?
Campus title to it, yes.
Just the title.
This one's for just the title, not the whereas. That
In the title.
just the title.
I agree with President Honeychurch not to add sanctuary campus onto the title due to the fear of losing federal funding.
So that's a 4-3 for no. So the motion is defeated on a 4-3 vote.
Can I note and clarify that the student trustee also had an advisory vote of yes in there?
Is it okay if I ask a question, or does that have to
Well,
wait
we
for
really
closed?
are, we're at the point of voting, so you should vote for the
Okay.
record.
No worries, but I obviously vote aye, considering all the statements I said at the previous meeting and during this one.
But thank you.
Could we let her ask the question?
Of course, I will.
Yeah.
What was the question?
I was wondering what specific federal funding you were referring to, because for those in the audience, it may be pretty vague to what you may be referring to in terms of
I'll
federal
ask
funding.
Dr. Butler to help us with that.
There is not a specific funding that the federal particularly is limiting, but there are actions that have been documented. Federal government is retracting funds from schools and possibly holding funds going to schools that they feel are of the new executive order that is asking for there to not be the equity inclusion clauses, but more meritocracy clauses. I don't have the language in front of me.
Thank you for that clarification, Dr. Butler.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the vote has been taken and a reasonably split decision, 4-3. We'll proceed with the resolution as it's written. So is there a motion to approve the resolution of a commitment to a safe and secure campus for all students?
I'll make a motion to approve that this is a safe and secure campus for all students, including our undocumented students.
Is there a second? No, it's just approving the resolution. No.
Done.
No.
Okay, I
Just
will make
reading the
a
title.
motion to approve agenda item 12A as it stands. Thank you.
So is there a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. So all those, well, this is a resolution, so we'll call the roll. Approving the
I
resolution.
have a question. The last thing that was said, as it stands, and trustee Holland, you made certain amendments to that
She
change.
didn't win it.
They didn't.
Oh, they, okay, went down, okay. Speak louder. Okay.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. I thought we had
Are we ready?
microphones, but
Are we ready?
yeah, I'm ready for the roll call.
Trustee Kara,
Can you come back to me?
Trustee Cargo Reed,
Aye.
Trustee Wynn Greer,
Aye.
Trustee Thurston,
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
Trustee Voice,
Aye.
President Henry,
Aye.
Trustee Kara, Trustee Sharini Vasan,
Aye.
So the ayes have it. Thank you, everyone, for interesting discussion. Now we're a safe and secure campus by proclamation or resolution. We'll move on to the next item, which is approval to enter an agreement with Lingleby for ASL interpreting services.
Yes, thank you, President Honeychurch, members of the board. We did a request for proposal for ASL interpreting services and closed captioning services due to our needs increasing and not being able to do it without having to go out for a bid. We received 2 proposals. They were reviewed by members of our staff that work in these departments. And this is the company that they chose to go with that had the highest rating. And we're asking that the board approve it.
So thank you for your presentation. Is there a motion to approve these services?
I'll make a motion to approve 12B.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Well, the ayes have it. The agreement with Lingleby, am I pronouncing that properly? Lingleby is approved. Next item is Measure Q bond spending plan update. You know who's presenting this? Is Mr. Lofton available?
Yes. Thank you, President Honeychurch, members of the board. The bond spending plan update is an adjustment to bond funds according to the various project needs. This bond spending plan update has been reviewed extensively with Dr. Butler, with the administration, as well as the steering committee. We seek the board's approval to make these adjustments. This would be the 29th bond spending plan update since 2014.
Well, thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Lofton? If not, we need a motion to,
I move that we approve item 12C.
Second.
all right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? Measure carries. Next item is item D, a change order. Mr. Lofton will present this. It's for construction services for the boardroom technology replacement project.
Thank you again. This is just a time extension. There is no cost associated with this change order. So we seek the board's approval to extend the time on this project, on the contract for this project.
So is there a motion, please?
I
So
move
moved.
for approval of item 12D.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to do the change order number 2 for the campus boardroom technology project. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. The next item is item E under bond. No, it's under academic affairs rather. It's a purchase of Hunter alignment rack for the automotive technology program.
Thank you, President Honeychurch and members of the board. I think this is actually pretty clear to avoid the risk of injury and death in our auto tech center. We're asking for a replacement to a malfunctioning vehicle lift. This is an upgrade to the existing ones. As you know, the center was newly built a couple of years ago, but there was a lift that experienced issues early on, and so this is to replace that.
Are there any questions on the matter? If not,
You have a
please.
question?
I have,
Okay.
Oh,
I totally understand when things go bad, but what I can't understand is this normal that lifts go bad so soon?
My background is theater history.
I could actually speak to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when the Autotech building was built and the various lifts were specified, there was one particular lift, this one that we're replacing, that was specified as a lift that represented many smaller auto shops. Not every auto shop is able to use the finest and the most robust lifts. This particular lift allowed our students to learn how to operate a different kind of lift. Unfortunately, there was an accident. A vehicle slipped and fell off the lift. Nobody was hurt, nobody was injured. It didn't completely fall down, but again, this is all part of the training and the operation of that particular style of lift. So, and forgive my voice. Um, but yes, this is just to replace a low-end lift that is common in many, many small shops.
Right, sure. There wasn't a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 12E.
I second that.
Right, so moved and seconded. I would just suggest anecdotally that if somebody's injured as a result of not replacing it, it's gonna cost a lot more than replacing it. So with that, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next is clinical experience agreement renewal for the nursing program.
Once again, this is a renewal of a clinical agreement. We very much appreciate our clinical partners who allow us to go in and train our students in nursing. So we're asking for your approval of this renewal.
Right, is there a motion to approve the item?
I move that we approve item 12F.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the clinical agreement for the nursing program. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, I didn't. That's why we have to have this fixed, because if somebody wants to make an inquiry, it'd be good to have,
We're scared to ask questions.
well, not here.
I just wanted to thank you for this. I know it's a lot of hard work, and please know that it's always a pleasure to see these on the. Thank you. That's all.
I will, thank you.
No, I can't. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Now we move on to a very controversial matter.
Uh-oh.
If anyone wants to change the language here of this one, just please let us know. It's a resolution proclaiming March 2025 as Women's History Month. Is there a motion?
I move for approval. Is that what?
Okay,
I wanted to add an amendment to, and it's nothing crazy, but I wanted to ask if I could add the amendment of the origins of Women's History Month and how amazing the history, because I didn't see, it was beautifully written, but I did not see the historical aspects of that. It started here in Santa Rosa, California in 1978, so I just wanted to add the 3 historical aspects to Women's History Month was all.
A lovely idea. Thank you.
so,
I will second that.
We have that.
and what are the, yeah, we don't know what you're approving.
Okay, so do you want an overview of what I, real quick?
I think I lived through it.
Oh, you lived through it? Okay. Where women educators had grassroots in
Okay.
Santa Rosa on March 8th, 1978. And the local women realized there was a disparity between historical women in history, speaking about it, learning about it, and to their counterpart men. So they petitioned, and the NWHA and other women's organizations as groups, it took root nationwide in 1978 after the group of women in Santa Rosa started pushing for that. We needed to celebrate Women's History Week. So then under Jimmy Carter in March of 1981, Congress did adopt Women's History Month, or actually Women's History Week. And I wrote it so much better. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm ad-libbing here. But they did adopt Women's History Week, declaring the week of March 8th, 1981, or being the Women's History Week. So in 1987 is when we actually were recognized for Women's History Month. And that is when it started, because of all the hard work of all the women's organizations coming together that we deserved a month to be celebrated. Of course, we deserve to be celebrated every day, but at least we were nationally recognized for, it started with a week and then a month. So just wanted to add that, but it's well written.
So I think that's been moved and seconded to add that language to the resolution. So all those in favor of doing that, please say aye.
But
Aye.
I would like the resolution to be read.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm here to do that if that's okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, President Honeychurch and members of the board. I'm bringing greetings from Los Angeles, where we are at the Amend Conference. And just to say really quickly, we've got 15 students down here with us, which is great. And our team for the Knowledge Bowl just made it to tomorrow's final. So lots of great news happening down here with our students and some managers who are here. Okay, so yes, this is the resolution proclaiming March 2025 as Women's History Month here at the college. Whereas throughout U.S. history, women and women identifying individuals of diverse backgrounds, abilities, gender expressions, and experiences have made significant contributions to the cultural, political, economic, and social landscape of our nation despite systemic barriers. And whereas the women's rights movement in the United States has evolved through crucial milestones, including the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention, the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women's suffrage, the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and the founding of the National Organization for Women in 1966, and the ongoing struggle for gender equity that continues today. And whereas we acknowledge the disproportionate challenges faced by women of color, Indigenous women, women with disabilities, immigrant women, and LGBTQ+ and trans women who continue to navigate compounded barriers of discrimination. And whereas we recognize pioneering women leaders such as Dolores Huerta, co-founder of the United Farm Workers, Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman elected to Congress and first woman to run for the Democratic presidential nomination, Wilma Mankiller, the first woman elected as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Deb Haaland, the first Native American to serve as a cabinet secretary, as U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Cecilia Chung, Marsha P. Johnson, and Sylvia Rivera, transgender rights activists, and Yuri Kochiyama, internment camp survivor and civil rights activist, and of course, Sally Ride, the first American woman in space. All of these women who have broken barriers and inspired generations. And whereas this year's Women's History Month theme, Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations, provides us an essential opportunity to educate our campus community about women's contributions throughout history and to inspire future generations to continue advancing gender equity, recognizing that the work of achieving gender equity requires ongoing commitment beyond a designated month of recognition. Therefore, be it resolved that the Solano Community College District Governing Board proclaims March 2025 as Women's History Month and encourages all departments, faculty, staff, and students to participate in related educational programs and activities. Thank you.
Beautifully concluded.
Thank you for reading the resolution, and we'll add the language that Trustee Cargo Reed suggested. So, pardon me? Yes, you do. Please call the roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Cargo Reed,
Aye.
Trustee Wynn Greer,
Aye.
Trustee Boyce,
Aye.
President Honeychurch,
Aye.
Trustee Kara,
Aye.
Student Trustee Sharini Bosson.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we are recognizing Women's History Month with this resolution. Thank you to everyone. Next item is funding agreement between the college and Solano Transportation Authority for the van pool pilot program.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, go
That's
ahead.
me. Sorry.
Go
That's
ahead.
me again, I believe. Sorry, I think
Yes.
there's a slight delay. Forgive me. Anyway, yes, so this is a real privilege to bring to the board. It's something that folks have been hearing a little bit about, but here we are now requesting approval from the board for this agreement that we enter into between the college and the Solano Transit Authority for our intercampus van pool pilot program. The details of which, just in terms of a quick overview, include a launch date of April 14th, which is the week after spring break. It will include 2 vans that we will have at our disposal as a college with a daily schedule. We surveyed students in the fall, and we understand we're going to try the pilot in some of the peak points where students seem to have the biggest transportation needs. So there'll be several runs each day between Vallejo, Vacaville, and Fairfield campuses. Vallejo will also include the Automotive Technology Center. And every weekday, the idea is to run from approximately 7:15 in the morning to 11:15, and then again from 2:15 to 6:15. We will, of course, be collecting student feedback, and so be able to adjust that schedule as needed. And so all of that work is being done right now. We have our PIO building an advertising and awareness campaign for making sure there's plenty of early advertisement for students. And also that students will have the ability to download an app on their phone. Well, actually, anybody who wants to ride the shuttle, including employees, one time only, and that allows them to track the location of the van in real time so they can plan accordingly. It also allows us to track ridership and really understand patterns of travel. This is something the college is funding through our Student Equity and Achievement Grant, and very excited to present it to the board tonight. It was unanimously approved by the STA board a couple of weeks ago.
Thank you. We get a motion, then ask questions. Is that possible?
Yeah.
So, is there a motion to approve it? The pilot, van
That's
pool
what we're
pilot?
asking for. Well, we approve it. I think this is something, having taught here before, so, good.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you.
I
Your question? Your question?
Yes, I have a question. Could you go over those times again? I really didn't hear that. And could you also send the board the link to download this app so that we can all download it and maybe use the bus too, please?
Sure. Yeah, there'll be a URL that'll be posted soon, which will have a QR code. So we'll make sure that I'll work with Dr. Butler to make sure that the board has access to that. So at this point, based on student feedback, the initial run will be a morning run between 7:15 in the morning and 11:15. So really hitting the peak morning classes. And then again from 2:15 to 6:15, hitting those evening classes. And this is really based on working with STA, but in conjunction with the feedback that we received from students around when their peak travel times were. But the nice thing about it being a pilot is we will try this. This runs between April 14th this year and all the way through June 30th of next year, 2026. But we will have the ability to work with STA to pivot as needed, to change the schedule as we get more feedback and we get a sense of who's using it when and being able to respond. So students can be through the app, students and employees can reserve a ride, or they can just appear at a stop and jump on if available seat is there.
So if you're a student and at 7:15 you're in Vallejo and you want to go to Vacaville, if you're there at 8:50, do you see what I mean? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what do you say to somebody?
Sure, no, I understand. So essentially the two vans will run between essentially Fairfield and Vacaville, Fairfield and Vallejo. So if a student wanted to go from Vallejo to Vacaville, they'd get on that shuttle to Fairfield, and then they get on the Fairfield shuttle to Vacaville. And what we're going to do with STA, they're going to run some practice runs and look at the timing a little bit more closely, and also determine so that we can let students know if they're trying to get from the furthest campus to the other campus, what that would entail in terms of when they need to be available. And if they're just going from Vacaville to, let's say, Fairfield and back, then that's another part of the schedule. So this is going to be an experiment, but they're going to do some test runs and give us all of that data well ahead of the April 14th launch date. So we're able to let students know exactly what's what and when they should be expecting the shuttles, and also they can track them on the app so they know exactly where they are at any given time.
And they're completely free.
Completely free.
And can I thank you? This is brilliant, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question there, VP Neely?
Sure.
Go ahead.
My question is, that certain period of time, 7:15 to 11:15, and then 2:15 to 6:15, how much leadway in terms of the student time needs to be in order for them to get there to the site to wait for the shuttle? Is it 15 minutes, 30 minutes?
The nice thing is, I mean,
Yes, go ahead. I
sorry,
apologize.
yeah, I think it'll depend on the student schedule, but the nice thing is that with this app that Share Mobility runs, you sign up once for the app, and then you basically are able to either reserve a ride. It allows us to track ridership, but then also, for example, you could say, I'm at Vacaville, I want to get on the next shuttle. Where is it? And you can see it in real time where it's tracked, and so you know, okay, it's 10 minutes away, so I can either go and run and get a coffee and come back to the bus stop, whatever it might be. So it's giving, I think, a lot of flexibility and really trying to streamline the service for students. And we'll get a lot of intel, I think, in the first couple of months, just in terms of what that ridership looks like, the schedule, et cetera.
I'm
But they
really
do this with a lot of other parts of the county, so I think we've got a great partnership with experts who are really good at this whole transportation route planning.
thank you for your presentation, VP Neely. I'm really excited for our students and faculty and staff with this shuttle program.
Thanks for your comments. Another
I
question?
have a question.
Trustee Young,
How many people will the van occupy?
I believe the van occupies 8 seats, and actually it's 9 seats, and then one of the seats can become wheelchair accessible. And then the vans will stay at the campus overnight. So we're working with DPS in terms of that as far as that goes. And then also, we were able to provide graphic design wrapping. So the vans will actually have the logo of the college on them. They'll stay with us for the duration of the partnership. And we are now at this point launching it with the name Falcon Flyer. So even though the longer name is the Intercampus Van Pool Pilot Program, we thought we'd have some fun with some wrapping on the vans that says Falcon Flyer. So it really feels like a branded, with our colors and our logo
I have
project
another
for us.
question.
it sounds good. You
Okay,
have
so
another-
we don't think there would be a problem with students wanting to get on a van, but there's no room for them to get on the van going from one location to the other because it's already full.
Well, certainly that's a possibility. I think what we're gonna try to do is monitor the best we can, and SDA has been incredibly generous in terms of the partnership and the ability to pivot. So if we find that, we're just inundated from day one, then we go and have that conversation with them. We're gonna be meeting with them every 2 weeks anyway, especially through the first several months, as we're gonna be looking at data, and looking very closely at what's happening, what the feedback seems like. Students will have an ability, in addition to tracking the actual data of ridership, they'll have an opportunity to, through a QR code, give some other, kind of anecdotal feedback as to how they find it, what's working, what may not be working. So we will all together kind of work to see how this rolls out and how we can best serve students. It's not going to be a one size fits all, unfortunately. But we're hoping that, if we decide and there's an increased demand for ridership, that we can work with SDA to potentially accommodate that. And those are things that are definitely a part of the conversation we've had just in case.
Thank you.
With that, I'll ask that the board vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the Transportation Authority and Solano College pilot program, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your work on this. Next item is item I, approval of statement of work with Fairley Core Banner System Support, Technology Services.
Thank you, President Honeychurch, members of the board. Up before the board's approval tonight is a contract with the Pirelli Group to provide database administration, system administration, and other technical services in support of our banner software, which basically runs our college.
Good, thank you. Is there a motion to approve this item, approval of statement of work with Fairley?
I move that we approve item 12I.
For a
I
second?
second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is item 13, information items. There's no vote on these items tonight. The first reading, responding to inquiries of immigration. It's a board policy. Are you presenting this item? So our superintendent president will give you information on this.
This is the first reading on a brand new district policy responding to inquiries of immigration status, citizenship, and national origin in compliance with AB 21 and SB 54. And these are, it was legally mandated through SB 54 that the district have a policy outlined. Included in your packets also the procedures related to the policy, since this is a brand new policy to the district, for your reference. This is the first reading, so no action is requested.
Yeah, through the chair, there's one piece I was hoping would be in this. Firstly, thank you. This is robust, and you went above and beyond to include all the procedures and other things that we can really get a grasp of it. So thank you very much. The only one thing that I was hoping that would be allowable in our policy is for our public safety to have the permission to notify campus of the presence of any law enforcement on campus. This could be useful for, of course, ICE, if, they're present on campus, that they could notify, hey, that they are here serving a warrant or something, that, so that people know what they're here for. But also could be, just a useful thing to have them have permission to do anyway for our justice impacted students, that they're not showing up to a bunch of police on campus without knowing it, that they're showing up to that, right? Like, so that, that they have that permission.
And just to give VP Williams kudos. See with the procedures and
Can I ask a question? Could you explain to me again what you just said? Was, do we not have a procedure to notify the campus if ICE is on?
I don't believe that any of our current procedures give permission to our public safety to notify the entire campus.
to document it.
Yeah. But it could be a may language, it doesn't have to be a have to language, so they can be at their discretion, but they have permission to use, all of the sort of ways that we communicate with students,
Well, we'll ask the superintendent president to consider
Yeah.
drafting that language in,
Okay.
bring it back at our next meeting.
Please. That would procedures. So I would share.
Because when I get campus notifications, there's no water. It might be nice to get a campus notification. ICE, stay home.
I don't think we put the stay home part.
Can't do that.
Did you say ice?
With that, then we're moving on to item 14, which is announcements. Are there any announcements from members of the board, other staff? Not items from the board. There's no closed session, so at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. It was an interesting meeting.